Hello students and other viewers, this is Geteta Television from MOROGORO, Tanzania. My name is Mnewa. I'm going to share with you today a topic known as listening to various simple oral texts. This is a Form 2 topic. The subtopic is listening to and understanding various simple oral texts on various issues. The specific objective by the end of this lesson, by the end of the topic, I expect you to be able to answer the questions on simple oral texts. B, you have to be able to write down what is read. A, answering questions on simple oral texts. Now, we have to start with the concept of listening. What is listening? What is listening? Listening is that ability to accurately receive and interpret the messages in the communication process. When we communicate, we normally receive the sound waves. So that ability of making interpretation of what you hear is what we call listening. Interpretation of the sounds that you receive from different directions. That is, the ears normally receive the sound waves and then you can make interpretation. So that ability to accurately receive and interpret the messages in the communication process is what we call listening. So when we learn any language, not only English language, even other languages, we consider the 4 language skills. The 4 language skills are found in different languages, English inclusive. The first language skill, which is very, very important to you as a learner to know, is listening. Listening. You have to be able to listen. The second skill is speaking. You have to speak the language. You have to utter the words. The third is reading. You need to have the ability of reading writings. That is, if you can be able to read what is written in that particular language, that is a skill which can make you to be regarded as someone who is competent in a certain given language. And the fourth one is writing. You need to know how to write down correct sentences in a given language. You cannot be competent without having the skills of writing. You need to know how to write down. Now, when you talk about listening, the organs involved are ears. The ears are the ones which receive the sound waves. And then, we have hearing and listening. So we hear the sound waves. And then when we make a concentration is when we move from one step to another step, and that becomes listening, which involves concentration. So if you hear the sound waves and there is no concentration, that is not listening, it's hearing. I think you have to distinguish the two terms. And we have here the ears receiving the sound waves, and then interpretation of what is heard can be done by the brain. As you can see, among the 4 language skills that we have so far discussed, or we have written down, listening is the most important language skill, and it should start. And that's why you can find even small children, they normally learn how to listen first before they start speaking. And therefore, it's one of the major skills that someone needs to know at the very beginning, listening. And for your information, we normally start listening while we are still in our mother's womb, what we call discriminative listening. And therefore, listening is the first language skill which should be learned. So listening is the key for all effective communication. Without the ability to listen effectively, the messages can be are easily misunderstood, and hence it can lead to the so-called communication breakdown, communication barrier. We have some communication barriers which can lead to communication breakdown, and therefore one needs to be very careful when listening in order to make interpretation of what he or she hears. So when listening to a text read by a teacher or anyone else, in order to understand, the following must be done. The first important thing that you have to note when listening, in order to understand what is spoken or what is read, you have to figure out the purpose of the text. That is the background knowledge of the topic. You need to have the background knowledge of the topic in order to have some clues concerning what is read. That is very, very important. Another important thing that you have to focus on specific items in the input and reduce the amount of information that you can hold in the STM. My dear students and other viewers, when we talk about the STM, this is the acronym for short-term memory. Short-term memory. So you have to focus on only specific items. You should not overload your short-term memory with unnecessary information. Pick only important information that can help you to answer questions or to comprehend what is read or spoken. But also, another important aspect of observe is that you have to listen for the main ideas. Listen for the main ideas of the story. Listen for the main ideas of the story. Focus on what is important to be grasped when listening. Don't deal with other things which are not very necessary for you. You have only to pick those major points that can help you to answer questions at the end of reading the comprehension or anything that is going to be read. But also another aspect is that of predicting the content. You can predict the content. That with this, I think the content is like this. As far as it has started in this way, I expect it will end this way. You can predict the content of the text being read. But also listen for specific details. Specific details. What are the specific details? More important details that you can use when answering questions. Another thing is you have to recognize the word order patterns, how the words are arranged, chronological order. You have to observe that as well. But also you have to check for comprehension while listening. Do you really comprehend what you are listening? Do you understand what is being read? That is also very important. For a good listener, we have to comprehend what is read. And then you have to draw a conclusion. Draw a conclusion. You can mark the end or you can draw the conclusion of what is read. And as a student, you need to have the ability of summarizing what you have read. Suppose the teacher has read a certain passage or a text. Then you can be asked to summarize it in few words. And therefore, the need of having important details about the text is important. You need to have important facts or important details about the text in order for you to summarize that particular text read. If you don't have, really, it becomes very difficult for you to write a summary of what you have read. But actually, if you did, note those important information, if you really picked out specific information, it will just be very easy for you to summarize what you have heard. Now, my dear students and other viewers, we are now going to have an example of a simple text and you have to listen. Adhere to what I've already told you or instructed you in the proceeding of the lesson, and then make application of what you have already discussed to understand or to comprehend the passage that I'm going to read for you. Now, my dear students, listen to the following text, and then after you have to answer the questions which follows. This is the text that I'm going to read for you. This is the text that I'm going to read for you. Therefore, make application of the techniques that we have already discussed. Make use of the techniques that I've already informed you. That when you listen, you have to comprehend. You have to pick the most important details from the text. There you are. Now, let us proceed. The HIV is human immune deficiency syndrome, an incurable disease. This disease is caused by the virus, which prevents the formation of WBCs, white blood corpuscles, a constituent of blood which is responsible for immunity. Destroying the WBCs and preventing their formation, natural immunity, which fights against diseases, is reduced, making the body prone to various diseases. A person infected with HIV becomes carrier and can infect other persons. This communicable disease is sexually transmitted. It is also passed through body fluid and infected syringes and blood transmission. This disease has spread rapidly worldwide, especially in poor and developing nations, and poses a serious threat to human existence. Africa, Asia, Latin America, and other parts of the world have large populations who are infected with the disease. In 2000, about 35 million people were infected with HIV, of which about 29 million are in the sub-Saharan region. African and Asian countries have highest spread of HIV, South Africa being the largest HIV-infected land, while the largest number of HIV patients are in India. About 3 million people die every year due to HIV/AIDS. No drugs or treatments have been proved effective to cure it. Even some primary stage treatments are very costly. Reasons for its spread in poor countries. The first reason for the spread of HIV/AIDS is these countries have most of the population living under poor conditions and lacking the proper nutrition, which makes them more prone to the disease. The second reason is that there is lack of awareness about preventive steps, which has resulted in the widespread of HIV. The third reason is that some traditions and customs of such countries have led to practice of polygamy, partner sex, prostitution, which have spread the disease. But also, there is no retropolicy implementation to create awareness and prevention of the disease in poor countries. Now, my dear students and other viewers, having heard the text that I've read, now make use of the techniques that I instructed you before on how you can comprehend the text read by your teacher. Now we have the comprehension questions, which I'm sure that you'll be able to answer them since you know the important information or specific information concerning the text that I have read. These are the comprehension questions that will be required to answer them. The first question: If you are really making a follow-up, listening carefully, adhering to what is read, what is HIV? What is HIV? That's the first question. What is HIV? The second question, how is HIV transmitted? How is HIV transmitted? The third question, what causes HIV? What causes HIV? The fourth question, in Africa, which country has the highest number of HIV victims? In Africa, which country has the highest number of HIV victims? Question number 5. What are the reasons for the higher spread of HIV in poor countries? What are the reasons for the higher spread of HIV in poor countries? So my dear students and other viewers, I'm sure that you can stand in position to answer these questions because you have read the text that I've read, and if you really grasped what I instructed you before, what I told you before, that you have to look for specific information from the text being read, I'm sure that these questions will be very simple for you to answer. Very simple indeed. And I'm sure that even some of you have already answered these questions. Now, do you have the answers for those questions that we have displayed on the screen? Take time to pass through the questions. You have read the story or the text, then you can be able to answer the questions on the screen. Now, the possible or model answers for this are, for question number 1, HIV is the acronym for human immune virus, and it is one of the incurable disease. It's an incurable disease. There is no treatment for HIV. For question number 2, it is transmitted through sexual intercourse with an infected person, but also it can also be transmitted through body fluid, blood transmission, and infected syringes. Did you answer it in that way? Good. I hope you had almost the same answer. For question number 3, the disease is caused by the virus, which prevents the formation of white blood corpuscles, or WBCs, a constituent of blood which is responsible for immunity. As for the case of question number 4, the expected answer was the country in Africa with the highest number of HIV victims is South Africa, whereby about 3 million people die every year. That is what you are supposed to answer. For question number 5, the reasons for the higher spread of HIV/AIDS in poor countries are, you had a list of the reasons for the higher spread of HIV in poor countries. And I think if you really made a follow-up, listen carefully, there is a part in the text where we listed down the reasons for the higher spread of HIV in poor countries. The first reason that was mentioned is poverty. Poverty, poor conditions, and the lack of proper nutrition. This can make people to be prone to the problem. Poverty, poor conditions, and lack of proper nutrition. We have most of the African countries living in abject poverty. People are living in poor conditions and they don't have enough food to eat. You can find some of the children suffering from kwashiorkor, and therefore it's very easy, they are prone to be infected, especially with poverty. People can indulge themselves in prostitution in order to earn money. As a result, they can be infected. The second reason for the spread of HIV/AIDS in poor countries is lack of awareness on the preventive steps to avoid the spread of the disease. Lack of awareness on the preventive steps to avoid spread of the disease. That is the second reason which led to rapid spread of HIV/AIDS in poor countries or in developing countries. Now, we have gone through the text listening. That is, the teacher has read the passage or the text, and then you responded to the comprehension questions. I'm sure that you have the correct answers related to the model answers which are displayed on the screen. And now, my dear students and other viewers, let's have a look at the structural practice. Structural practice. When we talk about the structural practice, it means we have some structures that we have to learn. They might be, the result of what you have read, or just the practice that can make you good in structure. It's not only the matter of listening, you have also to know the structure of the language. Now, let us start the following sentence, and then we have to note the use of was and were as how they are used in the sentence that I'm going to display soon. Roman 1. Yesterday, I was happy. Yesterday, I was happy. Take note of the word was. Take note of the word was. Yesterday, I was happy. Roman 2. We were not present at the event. We were not present at the event. Take note of the word were. We were not present at the event. Roman 3. Jen was asked to open the door. Jen was asked to open the door. Take note of the word was in that sentence. Jen was asked to open the door. Roman 4. We were told to study hard. We were told to study hard. My dear students, take note of the word were. Were. We were told to study hard. Roman 5. Villagers were told to conserve the environment. Villagers were told to conserve the environment. Take note of the word were. Roman 6. Students were reminded to submit their work. Students were reminded to submit their work. Take note of the word were. Students were reminded to submit their work. Now, having gone through those sentences, you can ask yourself, in the first sentence, yesterday I was happy. Yesterday I was happy. Why did we use the word was in the first sentence? Why did we use the word was in the first sentence? Yesterday I was happy. Take time to think about it. Why not yesterday I was happy? My dear students and other viewers, have you recognized why the word was used in the first sentence? Yesterday I was happy. Good. I hope some of you discovered the trick here. The setup is the pronoun. Yesterday, I, singular. I, singular. Yesterday, I was happy. I, referring to singular. I, first person singular. And therefore, it's obvious that there is no other word you can use apart from was. Yesterday, I was happy. In Roman 2, we were not present at the event. We were not present at the event. Take note of the word were. And now, when you go back, we have the pronoun we, which indicates plural. We. And therefore, in the first sentence, we had yesterday, I was happy. Was, the pronoun used indicated singular. I, first person singular. But this one here, the pronoun we refers to plural. And therefore, say we were not present at the event. Actually, we cannot say we was not present at the event, because this refers to the pronoun used indicates plural, and therefore we were will be used for plural. Roman 3. Jean was asked to open the door. Jean was asked to open the door. Take note of the word was. Jean was asked to open the door. Take note of this word here. And before this word, we have the noun Jane. Jane, single. Talk about singular. Jane, one. Jane. So Jane was. It's just the same case with the I, which is used in in Roman 1. I was happy, referring to singular. So Jane was asked to open the door. Jane was asked to open the door. This reflects the concept of singular. Roman 4. We were told to study hard. We were told to study hard. My dear students, we were told to study hard. Were, we, pronoun for plural. So we were and not we was. We were told to study hard. Were, reflecting plural, as far as the pronoun used indicates plural, and therefore we have to use the word were, the helping verb were. We were told to study hard. Roman 5. Villages were told to conserve the environment. Villages were told to conserve the environment. Take note of this. Were, the helping verb. Villages, it is in plural. As you can see, villages, it's in plural. And therefore the helping verb, it's obvious that it will be the word were. Villages were told to conserve the environment. Roman 6. Students were reminded to submit their work. Students were reminded to submit their work. As usual, take note of were. Before the word were, we have the noun which is in plural. Students. Students, that is plural. So you cannot say students is reminded. You are talking about plural. Okay? So students were. Students were reminded to submit their work because there are more than 2 students. Talk about plural starting from 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 100, 200, 300, etc. Now, take note. Note that were is used with plural form of the people. It can be used for plural form of things. It can be used for plural form of animals. And as for the case of words, it's used with singular form. My dear students and other viewers, we have passed through the use of was and were in the sentence that I have indicated or displayed on the screen. And I'm sure that at the moment you are able now to use the word was and were. What you have to take note is only to know whether you are talking about singular or you are talking about plural. Was has to do with the singular form, with the pronouns. The pronouns, when the pronouns are in singular form, it's obvious that you're going to use the word was. But for plural, when you have the pronouns in plural form, the proper word to use is were. They were. You cannot say they was. You see? We were. It was. You see? Students were, and not students was. You see? This is one of the problems which face most of students, that they don't realize that they have used the pronoun in the plural form or in the singular form. So I'm sure that up to the moment you have already realized on how you can use the word was and were, as far as I have really dived deep to explain on how you can use the two words. They are very problematic, and there are some of the words which make students speak sometimes broken English without their knowledge, without knowing. Okay? So let's now do another practice on the use of was and were, so that we can drill ourselves and be confident, or we can be competent with this use of was and were. Complete the following sentence by using the words provided below. We have the word was and were, just the same as how we did with the previous practice. Roman 1. It dash a cool night, and every one of us was happy. It dash a cool night, and every one of us was happy. We are talking about the night. It. The pronoun used here is it. It dash a cool night, and every one of us was happy. My dear students and other viewers, which is which? Should we use was or should we use were? Can you try to fit it there? You know what other aspect that you can use to know whether you have chosen the correct word or not the correct word? You can just fit it there, and then you can try to read the sentence. You just recognize, or you just realize that the word used here is wrong. It's very easy to realize. It dash a cool night, and every one of us was happy. Was were. Yes, you're right. It was a cool night, and every one of us was happy. It was. It was raining yesterday. It was running. Okay? It was jumping, etc. So it was a cool night, and every one of us was happy. So the correct word is was. Good. Let us soldier on. Roman 2. All the people dash there. All the people dash there. Good. Have a close look. All the people, all the people. Can it be referring to one person? No. All the people, it means more than one. Okay? And therefore, if it's more than one, hope you understand the concept here. It's about plural. All the people dash there. Which is which? Was or were? Good. All the people were there. All the people were there. So the correct word there to use is were. All the people were there. Roman 3. Mataka dash not around. Mataka dash not around. Mataka dash not around. Mataka is the name of a person. That is a proper noun. Mataka. Mataka. Dash dash, not around. Mataka means a person. One. One. We are not talking about more than one person. So mataka refers to singular. One. Mataka. One mataka. So mataka dash dash, not around. Which word should we use there? My dear students and other viewers, take time to ponder the correct word to use. Good. You're right. You're very right. The correct word to use there is mataka was not around. Mataka was not around. Roman 4. Birds dash dash on the trees. Birds dash dash on the trees. Which word should we use there? Is it was or when? Birds dash dash on the trees. Look here, birds. More than one bird, isn't it? More than, it's more than one bird. And therefore we are referring to plural. And you know the proper word to use for plural between was and were. What is it? Good. Birds were on the trees. Birds were on the trees. We are talking about plural, not singular. Roman 5. It dash dash raining heavy. It dash dash raining heavy. Recall one of the sentences that we had the pronoun it. One of the sentences we had the pronoun it. And you exactly know which word we use for that particular sentence. It dash dash raining heavily. Was or were? Was or were? Shout the answer. Good. It was raining heavily. It was raining heavily. Not it were. No, it was raining heavily. Romans 6. Villagers dash dash not happy with her arrogance. Villagers dash dash not happy with her arrogance. My dear students, look here. Villagers, villagers, referring to plural, plural, villagers. Therefore, as far as we have the collective noun villagers, villagers, the proper word to use here will be the one which goes with the plural. Villagers, my dear students and other viewers, can we say villagers was not happy with arrogance? No, it doesn't bring sense. Villagers were not happy with her arrogance. Villagers were not happy with her arrogance. That is the correct word you can fill in the open space. Villagers were not happy with her arrogance. Romans 7. Her parents dash dash supportive of her. Her parents dash dash supportive of her. Her parents dash dash supportive of her. My dear students, what is the correct word to fill in the open space? Her parents dash dash supportive of her. Is it was or were? Okay, I told you before the technique that check the noun or the pronoun used. Okay, with this one here we have the noun parent. Her parents. Now it's not a parent but parents, many than one. It's more than one. Her parents, more than one parents. And therefore the correct word to use will be, can you shout the correct answer? Yes, there you are. Her parents were supportive of her. the parents were supportive of her. That is the correct word to fill in the space provided. And therefore, these are the expected answers. These are the expected answers. Roman 1 was, Roman 2 were, Roman 3 was, Roman 4 were, Roman 5 was, Roman 6 were, and Roman 7 were. I hope you had the correct answers. How many did you score? How many? Yes, I can see some of you say I have scored all of them. Some of you, oh, I have scored 3 out of 7. Others 5, others, okay, that is a start. I hope next time when you find such kind of questions, you can stay in a good position to answer them correctly. You know, we always learn through mistakes, and therefore, if you didn't get the answers correctly, or the 7 answers correctly, you can just review the lesson so that you can understand where did you fail to understand. And when you make effort to learn and realize your weakness, then later on you can be able to score 7 out of 7. If it's 7 out of 7 or 10 out of 10, you will score all 10 out of 10. So don't worry. But I'm sure that most of you scored full marks. That is, you had all the 70 answers correctly. Okay, my dear students and other viewers, this marks the end of our lesson today. I really thank you very much for the follow-up that you've been making from the beginning of the lesson up to the end of the lesson. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much for listening. I'm your teacher, your English teacher, Sir Mnewa William Gimbo. See you next time. See you when you see me. Thank you.
Enlab Innovation Academy inatangaza nafasi za masomo ya Information Technology kwa ngazi ya certificate na diploma kwa wanafunzi waliomaliza kidato cha 4, kidato cha 6 na chuo NTA Level 3. Chuo kipo Kinondoni Vijana jijini Dar es Salaam. Zaidi ya kusoma, mwanafunzi anapewa nafasi ya kuanzisha mradi wa kiteknolojia pamoja na kupatiwa mentor wa kumwongoza. Pia tunamsaidia mwanafunzi kutafuta scholarships pale anapohitimu. Tupigie leo 0677 071 486 au 0744 100 au tembelea tovuti yetu www.nia.ac.tz.